All right, welcome back to Just Another Solar Podcast with Luke Beattie. That's me, Karl Jensen. G'day, Karl.
Luke, I've got some weather for you, mate. Yesterday was beautiful. Amazing. Today's crap.
I have to acknowledge you fell off the end of the last episode. The last two episodes were horrendous technically, and we had a different platform, a new platform, and it's rubbish. So we've moved to a different platform yet again, and I can actually see you this time, which is good.
And I've got faster internet. I even got a message from someone that said, the new gear is great. Doesn't sound like Jess is sitting at the end of a 40-foot shipping container. So we must be getting there slowly.
Slowly, incrementally. Hey, Jess.
Hey, mate. I'm just crawling out of my shipping container and ready to rock and roll. Nice. It's great. You know, lots of orders coming in. It's a good time to be in the solar game. If you can find some stock, it's a good time.
Would you call it overwhelming, though, with the inquiries and the amount of admin and stuff you have to juggle?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, it's the little things that creep in that stop you from doing the actual job, right? You spend most of your day dotting the I's, crossing the T's and, you know, making everything nice and neat and tidy, but can get in the way a little bit. But yeah, trying not to complain too much. It's a good problem to have, absolutely. And yeah, that's why we got to take care of each other, as we all keep saying.
Absolutely. And industry legend Nigel Morris. G'day, Nige.
Hello, Luke. Hello, team. Good to be back. Here we are. What's going on?
Well, you tell us, mate. You've had a massive fortnight.
It's been heaps going on. Yeah, the universe decided to go, hey, change everything. So everything changed. My landlord went, oh, you know, we're going to move back in. So you got, you know, a few months to get out. And, you know, the time came to leave Catch. And so I left Catch. And then I went, oh, geez, I've got to get a job. So I went and got a new job. And I was very, very fortunate. So I started at the Smart Energy Council. So, yeah, anyway, I lost my job, lost my house, found a job, found a house. So it took all up about 2.5 weeks to get life back in train a little bit. And now I am literally in the middle of moving house. We've only got a few years of accumulated crud, but, you know, there's 4 people and grandkids and whatnot around the place. So there's a fair bit of crap. Most of it's mine, actually, truth be told. The shed is mayhem.
Honesty is a good look for you, Nigel.
The last time you moved, Nige, there was an episode and you were in the backyard beside a big bonfire.
Moving out.
That episode, I remember it. But tell us about the role. It's a massive gig.
I'm really stoked to have the role. I'm starting as the Chief Strategy Officer at the Smart Energy Council. And what does that mean? It means I'm going to be helping to look after the teams. There are multiple teams doing multiple things. There's a big part of it that's, you know, sales and marketing and advocacy. And then there's a huge part of it that's about connecting with the industry and making sure that the Smart Energy Council's tuned into that. And that's kind of my role, I guess, and helping everyone there because they all work really hard. They've got tons of exciting stuff. There's stuff about to be announced that you won't believe when you hear it. So it's super cool. I'm very, very, very lucky. And I get to move into that sort of industry advocacy space full time. So I've got to move first, but then as soon as I've moved, 3 days after I moved, I start my new job.
Because you've been a bit of a hobbyist. You've been involved in everything from working groups, advocacy with government, and doing stuff for literally decades. And your network is massive, so you're going to stay engaged with the national network. But now you actually get paid to do all that shit.
Yeah, and there's so much to do. I mean, I've dabbled in it over the years, you're right, in lots and lots of ways. And lots of people I've worked for, I've really seen the value of it, of me being involved in that stuff to help keep the industry on track and fight the shitty bits and, you know, get the good bits going and all that stuff. Look, I'm a huge admirer of the Smart Energy Council. I went to India with them, you know, 4 or 5 months ago, whatever. Been dabbling with John for many, many years and the rest of the team there. And Wayne we had on recently as well, of course. So, you know, I'm a huge fan of what they do. They're working hard. They're trying to help the industry. They're trying to make a better solar industry for all of us. What's not to like, honestly, really?
They're paying you enough money that you got a haircut.
No, I'm covered in cobwebs and grime.
No, you're looking good, mate. You're looking good. All of this change, you've obviously lashed out to get a haircut as well.
I think our viewers on the last video that went live, because we've got video now, listeners, if you want to see us, but I don't know. The views weren't big.
We also spoke about Tindo in the last episode, and I'd visited them when I was in Adelaide, and there was some huge news last week from Tindo, Jess.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've been awarded the Sunshot Fund from the government. It's like almost $35 million. So yeah, it's crazy. I think what is it, like 180 megawatts worth of production they'll be ramping up to. Incredibly impressive stuff. So amazing to see an Australian manufacturer getting some really good support and trudging on forwards and leading the pack. It's incredible.
So
Wish
good.
they
I
got
think
more.
it's.
They got more.
I think it's
38.
9 times their current production capacity. But when we had Richard Pedersen, their CEO, on the podcast going back, I reckon it was over a year ago, he was talking about the ambitions for a gigafactory in Australia. And there certainly is something there with the sovereign manufacturing supply chain. It's almost like we've forgotten the lessons of COVID, where shelves were empty and there was a big push to sovereign manufacturing. And then post-COVID, shipments are coming in, Bunnings is full, the shopping centres are full, and everyone forgets about it. But there's certainly a huge place there for quality manufacturing, and good on Glenn and Richard and their team.
Well, the government said that they had $1 billion, right? So where's the other 962 million?
Well, exactly, and it'll come, and it's great to see. This is the first step of it, right? And it's a big chunk, and it's great project. So good to see.
I don't think it's a big enough chunk, Nige.
No, well, let's go. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, let's a start.
Go. This is
It's
a good start.
I guess
let's do the
if
next
we
one.
make
Let's
a
do the
start
next one.
and, they spend that money smart,
Yep. We need it.
we need a lot more.
Yep.
I want to see
Absolutely.
them spending that money, not promising it, spending it.
Now, there was a really interesting post on LinkedIn with Simon Chiglinski from Power Plus, who's been on the podcast as well. I'm just going to read some of his post, paraphrase a bit, and I'm going to bounce it to the team and see what you have to say. But it says, the renewable energy landscape in Australia is shifting rapidly, and so is the nature of tech support. Over the past decade, solar was king, and he goes into why, cheap panels, so forth, but we're entering a new phase. Battery prices have dropped dramatically, and we're seeing a noticeable trend. Batteries are getting bigger, but solar array sizes are staying the same. On paper, this sounds great. More storage, right? But the reality is that solar isn't always sufficient to keep these larger batteries topped up, especially in winter or prolonged poor solar generation periods. This leads to a scenario where batteries sit in a constant partial state of charge, fast track to premature degradation. As manufacturers, we're expecting a significant shift in the tone of support calls over the next 12 to 24 months. Not about faulty gear, but about misunderstood system design. So it's talking about sizing the batteries and enough. We need to size the whole system correctly. And as the market evolves, we should be addressing that. I want to throw it to you guys and see what your comments are.
Let me start. 30 kilowatt hours worth of battery on a 5 kilowatt inverter is a terribly bad idea. So it's not nearly enough.
It's like poetry. It was so good. I want that on a T-shirt.
I want to get CPD points for Karl's comment there.
Look, we all know that 1-to-1 was a really good number. So people that bought Powerwalls 5 years ago, it was 13.5 kilowatt hours of storage. They put it on a 5 kilowatt inverter with a 6.6 kilowatt array, and they spent 4 months of the year looking at their battery being flat because it didn't have enough grunt to charge it. The excuse is, but I can charge it from the grid for cheap. Panels are so cheap, it doesn't matter. Put some panels on the roof. I get it. Guys are really happy to make $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to put a stack of batteries in someone's garage and not get on the roof. But I think it's just lazy, and we should be putting an array on the roof to match it or fill the roof, do the best that you can, because the battery doesn't generate any energy, just stores it at a loss of 10%. So having that array on the roof is cheap way of charging it, and it's your own energy. You don't have to rely on other people to buy it.
I'm actually, in amongst all the other things, I've been doing a bit of consulting, and I'm working with a couple of different clients, and this issue is front and center because 98% of systems, solar systems, are going to get a battery now, right? So in the next near term. So, it's a really, really interesting topic, and how you guide salespeople, how you get them to promise right. I'm looking right at you, MacPherson. You're out there flogging them all day long.
That's me. I overpromise and underdeliver every day. That's when I get up in
But
the
how you actually work all that out, and then you combine, VPPs and
Yes,
wholesale
yeah.
trading and retail tariffs and blah, 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 blah. It gets really complicated really quick. And a friend up the road said to me, Nigel, I want to get solar and batteries. Here's 3 quotes. And I looked at these 3 quotes and they were pretty much the same. So I dug in and looked at the 3 different companies and looked at a bit around the detail and the quality and guided her to a choice. But, it's a hard job quoting that stuff, right? It's a hard job to make a quote look great and be easy to read and easy to understand and have lots of variables that take into account your particular situation so it's going to perform the best. So you don't want 30 kilowatt hours on a 5 kilowatt system. It's a really bad idea, as Karl said. So, it is a real bit of an art now. So it's really interesting watching the industry shift to salespeople quoting in so many different ways. I got one that was like the super techie, over the top, everything included, blah, blah, blah. And another one was literally, there was no detail. There was 2 battery options, 1 solar option. Here's the price. And it's a really big issue right now. So I think the industry is just going to go through, 6 or 12 months of learning to work out how to quote this well and how to design it well. And we need refinement in some of our tools.
Indeed. Well, Solar Quotes wrote an article too that said the customer is never right. And I think that's appropriate. So at the end of the day, the customer came to us and they asked for our expertise on what we should do for a solar system, and we gave them some great advice. And then they came to us and said, what do we need for a battery? And we said, mate, you need 50 kilowatt hours. That's what you need. That's what you need. Maximize your rebate. That's what you need.
Did they plagiarise it from you, Karl? The customer is never right.
Look, the customer's never been right. At the end of the day, we're supposed to be experts. Why aren't we acting like them? And ultimately, I think when there was another article on the solar cutters the other day. I think it was a guy out in Western Victoria. He said, what are people doing for cash flow? Because it's taking some time to get the money paid.
Big cash flow challenges.
Yep. And I think I said, self-inflicted dumb fuckery. So we've
have some sympathy, Karl.
Yeah. We've adopted the Marcus.
Doing it on purpose.
We've adopted the Marcus Lambert sales tool, which is instead of selling the cheapest shit that we could find. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But he went out to the industry and he said, "All right, you make $2,000 out of a solar system. Instead of increasing your margin on something more expensive like an LG panel, just make the same $2,000 worth of margin, and you're doing the same job. Just the panels are more expensive." So that has gone out there to the battery space, and we say, all right, we want to make $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000. So whether the battery's 10 kilowatt hours or 50 kilowatt hours, we make the same amount of money because it only takes an extra 10 minutes to throw those extra batteries there. So we don't need to make any extra margin, except all of a sudden now we've got 30 grand's worth of gear in their driveway or on their wall, and we've trying to claim $15,000 worth of STCs, and we can't run a business because we've got $1 million worth of debt paying for batteries that haven't got the STCs through yet. So it's our own fault.
I suppose that even companies that are doing the right thing and living within their means and scheduling jobs, because of the capital cost of batteries, it's going to be a drain on their cash flow. It's going to be stress on the cash flow, even the ones who are doing it right. So feedback I'm getting is...
Yeah, this time of year where you could get rained out on a day, and that's like, at the best of times that would really screw you around cash flow wise. It's definitely an extra cog, right? I guess just to take us back to the initial thing around sizing, around what people should be doing and long-term design. I think what's really tricky is that nobody ever complains about too much solar or too much battery storage, after you've installed it. Like people are going to come back to you and say, man, I wish I had an extra module. And they're not going to come back to you and say, oh man, I really wish you didn't talk me into the extra one. There is a line, of course, you've got to be reasonable. But I think this idea of we shouldn't be charging off of the grid is, it's outdated. It's a good idea to charge off of the grid. Not everyone can fit, 15 kilowatts worth of panels on their roof. Panels are cheap, and you should fill your roof up as much as you can. Absolutely. I'm certainly not trying to say otherwise. But especially for people who are going to get into amber, or they're going to get into local vaults, and the other people who are jumping into that space, there's going to be more people in that area. And the more options that people have there, the more that those, groups need to compete and give a better experience and things like that. I don't think long-term it's a bad idea to cater to people's extreme usage rather than their average.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean 30 kilowatt hours. So, keeping it within reason, keeping it to the customer. But I do think that there is a good case for a little bit bigger than what they're definitely going to use.
The little bit bigger got connected just this week. It's called the Waratah Super Battery. It was 750 megawatts and 1,680 megawatt hours worth of storage. So whilst all that capacity isn't online quite yet, it's very close, and it's $1 billion. So if anyone wonders what $1 billion worth of batteries looks like, it looks like 4 MCGs.
Just to put this in context, since we've got 4 MCGs worth of batteries going in, if I look back in the annals of time back to about 96, 97, 95, something like that. No, a little bit later, early 2000s. I was involved in installing the first demonstration solar system on the MCG. And it was installed on a vertical facade. So it was just a token 2 kilowatts. It cost about, $200,000 or something. And it was a couple of kilowatts, it was unreal. At the time we were making a point. That's all that mattered. But now here we are, 3 MCGs later, and $1 billion worth of batteries.
I think it's great that we're now measuring big batteries by the MCGs. That's awesome. But that was Acacia, wasn't it? So that's currently the largest grid-connected battery in the world.
Really?
So once again, Australia leading the way.
Let's go.
And interestingly, AGL said that batteries will be its new cash cow as coal fades. So watch that space. How many MCGs do we need to displace coal completely? We'll find out.
Now, there's the funny thing, Luke.
No, Karl, we have to bring the guest in. They've been waiting patiently.
We do.
So patiently. Now, our guests, so it's a husband-wife dynamic duo, good friends of the show. Now, Pat Southwell has been on before from Southwell Solar Inspections and also Southwell Solar Training. And, of course, his wife, Jo, has been alongside him, building it with him, and very heavily involved. Welcome to the podcast, first of all. And then, Jo, we don't normally see you as a front person. It's normally Pat, who loves being in front of cameras and on the stage and the microphone. But you don't seem to pop up as much.
Yeah, I suppose I don't love it quite as much as him. So probably 90% of the population, I imagine. I love getting out there in the industry and talking to people. But media's never really been on my list, I suppose.
So, Pat, you're a licensed electrical inspector. You've been doing inspections for everyone from CER to Solar Vic. And there was a change recently where Solar Vic halved the amount of inspections that had to be done on systems. How did that impact you, and what did you do?
Yeah, Luke. So we had, for whatever reason, we had Solar Vic slash their rates, their inspection rates, like you mentioned, by half. And yeah, you're absolutely right. We that was sort of the pillar of our business at the start. That's where we started getting into inspections, and it was kind of it was dropped on us reasonably without much notice at all. So we have been pretty much scrambling, to be honest. Yeah, really been scrambling. So because of the conflict of interest rules with Solar Vic, I haven't been able to do too many. I've had to keep the amount of installers that we do inspections for really limited. And so our client base wasn't very big. So we've been really trying to build that up over the last few weeks, and it's been a real challenge for us. So it's been funny because everyone's talking about how they've never been busier with installing batteries and the rebate and all that sort of stuff. Oh, it's close to say that as far as our inspection work goes, we've never been quieter. Like, it's really picking up now, and we're actually starting to get some traction. But because this was dropped on us sort of so quickly, it's been a real challenge, mate. Yeah.
And that was right in the middle of the lull in the industry. So we had the announcement of the battery schemes and the start date of 1st of July. So we've spoken about that on previous episodes, as you have with Lauren on the Solar Sidekicks podcast.
Yep.
And really that announcement happened right in that lull in the industry. So I think you guys were building a house last time I went into this. So I think that might have fallen in the same period as well.
Yeah, hence our mortgage payments have increased by a lot, and now we're left with not much work. But look,
and a lot of projects to do that we need to hold off on because we don't know what the future holds. But to be honest, I think it's quite exciting. We've had a lot of people reach out in the last couple of years, wanting to engage in our services, and we've had to be quite careful of how many people we did work with because of the conflict of interest. So we've obviously reached out to all of them, and it's actually more fun, I think, turning people's systems on rather than picking up everything that's wrong with their system. I think it's definitely much more rewarding work. So good times ahead, I think.
How did you guys get into solar?
Well, I probably started with me. I was just working for myself. Just had myself and a couple of workers, and someone just sort of asked me if I was interested in doing a few solar installs. So I went and got my ticket back in 2009, and just kind of went from there. And then all of a sudden, someone said, "I've got a whole heap of jobs." One of the teachers said, "I've got a whole heap of jobs that we need done," and I was the only one in my class who put my hand up, and we were off from there. So that's sort of how we got into it. And at that time, Joe was sort of doing a lot of the bookwork in the business. We'd only met a couple of years before that. But yeah, that's sort of how we got into solar. And then obviously a lot of people know my story, working at great places like True Value Solar and my time at the CEC as well, and then got into inspecting. But it was a little bit different. It was a little bit different for Jo. I sort of wrangled her in, I suppose, in a bit of a different way. And now she's
What were you doing, Jo? What were you doing at the time?
Well, when we met, I actually was in retail management at Kmart. So when he went out on his own, I actually left there and I ran all the operations of the business. And then when he kind of stopped installing and went into the office, I had a few gigs here and there. I've got quite a colourful career, but to be honest, solar back then, I didn't really kind of understand it. I wasn't really at the forefront. I didn't go to the installations or anything. It wasn't until I went with him to do the Solar Vic audits that I really, became to understand everything about solar and what can go wrong and what obviously is a great installation, and got a little bit more interested in it.
You should see how much she knows about solar now. Like, I feel like she's playing it down a little bit now. It was really good going out to these audits because I started doing them with my oldest son, James. And then he got a job after finishing uni, and Jo was with me for a couple of years. I think she did it, and it was great. We're talking to the clients or talking to the customers and the system owners. They were able to sort of leave me alone and get on with my work, and Jo just took the conversation and was able to talk them through everything with what percentage of audits to get done, where we see a lot of the defects, what they can expect next of their installation. And yeah, it was just so good to have that. And she learned really quickly and was really great with the customers as well.
What's your knowledge on labels like, Jo?
I know, I want to leave that alone for a little while. I feel like
circuit breakers. You're going to mention circuit breakers, Karl. I know.
Have to cover the circuit breakers. So still seeing that with EV chargers and dickheads thinking that 32 amps is okay for a 32 amp EV charger, which it's not. I have a question though, Pat.
Yeah, sure.
We saw the numbers last week from Warwick, and Victoria is well behind that of New South Wales, and there's, let's face it, fuck all going on in the ACT. Mm-hmm. But what do you think is slowing things down in Victoria in terms of the batteries? So I see it as 19,500 batteries. Yay, that's great. But we've got 4 million solar systems out there, and we've got 6 million houses that don't have a solar system. So what's holding us back in Victoria?
Well, do you reckon it might be the inspectors or lack of inspectors? Is that what you sort of
throwing it out there, mate?
So I reckon
I'm not blaming it. I'm not blaming it.
So I understand that, and that's a fair point to make, because there is an extra process that's required in Victoria for licensed electrical inspectors, and they can't get out there straight away. So I think even if you find that the number of those installed, I don't know what Rorik said that number was in Victoria, but I don't know if that was commissioned as well, or was that just installed?
I don't know. What does it take to claim the STCs?
Yeah, you
Does
need to
anyone
have
know?
To
all
be
your-
commissioned.
you need
Yeah,
to
it
have
has to be
no,
commissioned, has to be signed off by the inspector.
signed off by an inspector to get STC. So
Yeah.
it means the inspection hasn't happened. So I don't know. I'm guessing you might get throughout August, you might get a bit of a spike from some of the numbers from July, which won't have counted yet because they wouldn't have claimed the STCs yet. So
Yeah.
potentially that's the case because a lot of inspectors are a week or two behind.
So that hurts Victorian battery installers, right? So if we add another 2 weeks to the loop,
Yep.
and you've got a couple of teams of guys putting in a couple of batteries a day, all of a sudden that's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of bucks that you
Yeah,
can't
and
claim.
I think that investment's well worth it as well because you're talking about more peace of mind for the customer, more peace of mind for the installer, knowing that when they install their system, the inspector's going to go over it and they're on their team. Like they're the ones rooting for them as well. They want a compliant system. So if they need to send them back and redo some stuff, so be it. I'm more than happy for that.
It's better for the industry.
Yeah, exactly. I'll make no apologies about that if that's the reason.
Look, we
Oh,
talked
yeah, and
about
it saves
this
the
at
customer coming back to you, coming back to you a week later instead because you
Yep.
haven't noticed something. Like, you've got somebody sort of in your corner if you've got a good inspector is how I would like to think about it if we had inspectors here.
Well, they're coming
Yeah.
back anyway, right? They're going to come back and say, hey, my 30 kilowatt hour battery's not charging for 6 months of the year.
Hey, let's get off topic for a second, Karl, right? And just sticking with this, you spoke about the MCG before. I want to keep this sort of footy theme here.
Yeah.
And if anyone knows who Terry Wallace is, right? Old coach, player from the Hawthorn, from coach of the Bulldogs. He made a famous speech, right? And I'm gonna use his words, right? If you saw my system, Karl, you would spew up, right? And the reason is I've got 17 kilowatts with a 40 kilowatt hour battery, and we're loving it.
Yes,
absolute-
mate.
We actually
Come on,
use
man.
it all.
Come
We
on.
use it all.
Bring it. So
Yeah,
you're discharging 40 kilowatt hours during the night every day.
during the night.
Night,
Pretty,
not so
yeah,
much.
well, pretty
Actually,
close.
during peak time.
We're using about 80 kilowatt hours a day.
Okay, I'll beat that. I'm at 105. And out of my,
Oh, wow.
out of my 105 a day, I'm using less than 15 overnight because I'm using it in the free period. So I'm charging
there you
4
go.
electric cars
There you
and
go.
I'm heating my house, and the wife can walk around in a teddy because it's 30 degrees at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And I'm heating my hot water, but I'm doing all of those things during the day when the energy's free. I just don't need to use it later
Well,
on.
it's wonderful that you're in that position, Karl. It truly is. But I'll tell you for free that can't happen at my house. I think most people who are out and about during the day, you can put as many things on timers as you possibly can. And it's me, my fiance, and our roommate. Right, 3 people. We use a fair bit of tech. We're millennials. We've got all electric home. We easily use 20 kilowatt hours overnight if the heating or the cooling's been on. Easily.
And once you have teenagers in the house,
Yeah.
there's
Sure.
no way you can
I don't want to think
really
about that
control
just yet,
that.
Luke.
Oh my God.
So here's the
Don't
next
get me
thought.
started.
That battery's only economically viable during peak time. The rest of the time it's more expensive than just using the grid.
I'm excited actually because I'm in that situation being a renter. I can't control the appliances and the hot water system and da-da-da. We've got the smart meter, but now I'm moving out, so it's just as well I didn't invest. But I've made the decision. The day I move into this new house, I've got a 2-year lease. I'm going to say to the landlord, I'm putting a heat pump in. I'll pay for it. And I will put a heat pump in, and the money that will cost me will pay for itself in 6 months. I now know that compared
We'll look
to
after you,
a
Nige.
dumb small tank. It's just insane. And I just had no surety as a renter about how long I'd be in the house because I couldn't get longer term leases out of this guy because he ultimately wanted to move back. So, but the other ones, Giuseppe, my new landlord, he's been renting this joint for 35 years, probably rent it for another 30. So he won't mind, and we'll throw it in and we'll do some solar and batteries as well.
So
But I've got to get
Nige-
in early as a renter. I've got to smack it in the first month and then either take it or sell it to him at a discount at the end of the period.
So, Nige, just out of curiosity, I've been out of the rental game for a while. Are you able to deal direct with Giuseppe?
Nah, got to go through the agent and it's tedious and boring and da-da-da-da.
Bummer.
Yep.
All right, to keep it moving along, I want to jump onto your pod. How was that segue?
Good one.
So
Oh,
smooth.
look,
How would
at
you
the end
rate
of the
it?
day,
How would you
look,
rate
we're-
it? I was gonna use a football segue and talk about. You spoke about Terry Wallace, and we're
Yeah.
both Essendon Bombers supporters.
Yep.
But I thought I'd better not drop anything about the Bombers at the moment because our season has gone horrendous.
Yeah.
most of the team's injured. We'll leave that there. But jumping on to Solar Sidekicks. So I remember when it started out, and the evolution of the podcast has been excellent. The content's great. I listened to it. In fact, I think all of the hosts from our podcast have been a guest on your podcast at some point.
No, I've never been on.
Not quite.
I've never been on.
Oh, you dialed in.
I
once,
dialed in
Nige.
once.
Yeah, it
You
doesn't
dialed
count.
in.
No,
so-
it
Well,
doesn't
that's
count.
not good enough for you, Nige.
Anyway,
He's been
So
on
we-
with a roving mic a couple of times and a phone call, but no, we need to do a full episode with you, Nige.
yeah. So you come into your podcast and everything's organized and orderly, pretty much the polar opposite of just another solar podcast. But the quality's been consistent, great guests, and you've done well. So kudos to you. And you've done 50 episodes in 16 months.
Yep.
So which
Great
is a
work.
hefty effort
Great
considering
work.
you've got a couple of businesses, a family, building a house, and you've kept it consistently good and getting better. So talk to us about the podcast. What's going on?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first I wanted to mention bringing on Lauren Seconti has been just so good and refreshing for the podcast. And what's gone along with that is getting to know her and what she's all about. Like, she's just one of the most kindest, professional. I don't know, what else would you say about Lauren? She's just amazing. She just
Bit
She's
of
a
an
little
entrepreneur,
energizer bunny,
really.
isn't she?
Like,
Oh, she's absolutely an Energizer bunny, and I'm so lucky I asked her to come on as a co-host, and I've got no regrets at all. And even just the friendship with her has been really good. Like, we just call each other up sometimes and have a bit of a chat, and we have heaps of fun. So having her on as a co-host has really changed the podcast, I think, and changed the dynamic, and it's something I've really enjoyed, and I think a lot of the guests have enjoyed it too. But yeah, we found like it's evolved from just being a little bit of a chat and getting to know people and a little bit of technical content. And now there's a little bit of an advocacy sort of piece to it as well. And I feel like where we made a bit of a difference was with the with all the emergency backstop like stuff that was going on in Victoria. It was a total and utter debacle.
That's a great topic, and it's still happening, right?
It is. But look, I think it's now everyone has an understanding of it now, and I think, to be honest, I think a lot of the DNSPs have come to the party, and as we have learnt more and more about it, I think they were used as scapegoats a little bit as well. Like this was sort of pushed on them too, but a lot of the installers thought that it was all their fault, and hopefully that education piece is we've helped get that out into the industry. But yeah, I feel like we've got a new advocacy sort of piece to us now, that's been fun and to be honest, really rewarding, I reckon.
Well, that's why we're here, right? We're trying to do the right thing for the industry. And we're trying to do the right thing by our mates in the industry.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if we can provide a contribution to the industry by doing these sorts of things, then that's a good thing.
What's
Yeah.
next, do you think, for you guys? Like, what's the next tackled issue? What are you advocating for?
It's a good question. It's sort of, we tried the PDRS with the New South Wales and speaking to IPART and all that sort of stuff. And then by the time we felt like we were getting a bit of traction actually, and then they decided to sort of pull the rebate. So, that didn't really.
They probably saw you and ran the other way, I think.
Yeah, we've actually made a few jokes about that IPART just got scared of what we were going to ask them about. So they decided that they didn't want us to speak to us. But yeah, who knows? Who knows what the next big industry issue is?
I know what it is.
What is it?
It's CSIP in New South Wales.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, let's hope that they've learnt a lot of the lessons from Victoria. I hope that's the case, and all the other states have seen all the heartache that all the installers and companies have gone through. It's been a real toll.
I don't think
Pat,
Victoria's
and-
even seen it yet. We're still doing it.
Still finding it.
Still a nightmare.
Still find it. And for those, in case you aren't aware, of course, Queensland's rules have some really serious implications now, and that's sort of starting to emerge, that you've kind of got to go down this dynamic path, and you've got to do load control, and there's a whole bunch of intricacies in Queensland as well that are really just starting to become evident, especially if you want to do wholesale trading or anything like that. So yeah, it's a complicated beast. And then in the background, there's New South Wales. The good thing about New South Wales, to put your mind at ease, Pat, and of course you just want to join another IRG, because there is another IRG in New South Wales.
Yep.
They're building it. I missed the last one, unfortunately, because I was occupied, but they've been sharing how they're going to build the portal out. We got other installers from some other states or who were national to make sure they were in, so that they could say, look, when they did that in Vic or when they did that in SA, it didn't work or it did work. So, make sure you get that part right. So they're actually really engaging deeply in New South Wales. So it should be one of the best developed schemes ever, if we're lucky.
And the other piece, of course, is OEMs, Nige, because OEMs have had to scramble, first of all, in South Australia, and then in Victoria.
WA?
And then it's been this WA
Should we talk about
as well.
WA?
Well,
Fuck's
CCIP Oz
sake.
1.3. They've said, WA has said basically, you're all doing CCIP 1.1. That's fantastic. We're going to 1.3. We're going
making
to
a new one.
a protocol that no one's gone to.
That's
And
right.
it's interesting that the other DNSPs said, yep, we acknowledge that the CCIP synergy is put forward, or the handbook. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to, but the time frame's different. So I find it curious that a state-owned retailer and the DNSP are pushing ahead and above the pack of the privatised companies, because typically, and no offence to anyone who works for Synergy and listens to the podcast, but typically, as a general rule, the public service moves slower and with less agility than the private sector.
Yeah.
So for them to go, we're going to run ahead of the pack, I found curious, and I wish them all the best. But the point is, the OEMs have had to scramble in WA, Victoria, South Australia, now
it's
New
almost
South
impossible
Wales.
in WA at the moment. There are so many intricacies. It's crazy. I got a text from Rowan McGlue this morning,
Rojo.
Oh, Rowie.
pulling his
Rojo.
hair out, going, "Oh my God!" Because we've got this on that phase, they're going to limit us on. They're going to limit them on one of three phases. It's
Makes sense.
ridiculous.
No, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make
Does.
sense. It's ridiculous.
It does. If you've got a
causes
30
so much technical complexity
So
in that
if you've got a
system.
32 amp main switch for 3-phase, and you think that you can get away with pushing a heap of power on one phase and doesn't work.
They're not, but sure. But what they were talking, the trigger point is adding a battery to that phase, which is ridiculous, right? What they do in WA, in my view, is they take an extraordinarily conservative view about the fact that, well, everything that's potentially going to suck power will, and you've got to design for peak. I get that. But the real world doesn't work out like that. It doesn't work out like that. And there's so many other factors at play that it just creates this staggering technical complexity.
Yeah. Look, the 3-phase 24 kilowatt limit. That's like, mate, you couldn't make it 25, like a shitload of inverters that are already out there, but no, it has to be 24.
24.
So we should get our shit recertified again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But thrown back to the Southwells. So you've got the Solar Sidekicks podcast, and Southwell Solar Training was born. Do you want to tell us about how your training business got up and going? And what's the connection between, say, the podcast, the inspections, and the training?
I'm not really sure about the connection to all three. I guess
She's got you there, Pat. What's going on, mate?
Well, it's just I think we first spoke about this probably about 5 years ago when Pat had left the CEC, and he's had such a well-rounded career that when certain people, got him in the room, they were like vultures. They just wanted to talk to him and get his knowledge, and I'm like, well, where else can they find this information? How can we get this online? And yeah, he wasn't so keen back then, but then of course with all the transition from the CEC, obviously not doing the same role, and the webinars, which were very popular. We spoke about it again, and getting in the CPD space and actually making some CPD that's worthwhile. You hear a lot of people talking about, getting their CPD, it's such a chore. We wanted to make training and, connect them together, real world training that people would be really interested in. So yeah, that's how it was born.
Do you want to give a brief of the types of training that you offer?
Yeah, sure. All right. So it's pretty much, it's all online at the moment. And a lot of it is things that we've seen, or things that I've seen out in the field. So there's a few courses on different defects, and we list out the defects, go through them, point them out in real world situations, And usually there's a quiz at the end, so they're able to have their CPD. So yeah, we've got some on defects. We've got some on labeling. One we just released on battery labeling, which I think that's probably going to be our biggest course yet, I reckon, because battery labeling seems to be really confusing for a lot of installers, and there's a lot that are getting so much of it wrong still.
I have to ask,
And-
Pat,
yeah.
why is there a label that says toxic fumes on a lithium battery? I mean, it's like there's toxic fumes when you're burning shit on the stove.
Yeah. So it's what it does need to say, Karl, is it needs to say toxic fumes on it, and then it needs to state the fault condition when those toxic fumes are going to be present, and it needs to say fire causes toxic fumes. So it's just because that's part of what's required. I must say though, you don't necessarily need the skull and crossbones. So that's the thing that usually,
so scary.
yeah, that's it. That's the thing that that puts everyone off. You know, you go to this $5 million house, right, and then you're plastering all these batteries on the wall. There's skull and crossbones. There's face shields. There's big dangers, warning. You know, electrolyte burns. All these things. And it's
Electrolyte burns. That's a great one. I mean, it's
know.
never going to happen with a lithium battery, right?
So this is the thing. We've pointed this out in our course. A lot of these labels are not required in the way that the standard says, well, maybe suggests that they are. So you look at the standard and they've got examples, and it clearly says examples of this label. It doesn't say this is what the label has to be. So you go back to the standard before the appendix where it actually says what the label is, and it says what the mandatory requirements are. So we don't need this skull and crossbones. This is a crazy thing that we've got in this industry.
So people are just buying their little label packs and sticking them all up, and you're saying, guys, you don't need to be quite so overzealous. Let's
So
just...
I've got it. I've
Some
got
of
it.
them aren't
I've got it. Wait,
mandatory
stop,
as well.
Stop. Pat and Joe's new business.
Ah.
Pat and Joe's solar labels.
No, we've already had that suggested. Actually, you're not the first one.
Good
to suggest
labeling.
that. So,
Good labeling, Inc. Yeah.
well, the thing is that a lot of what we've discovered in this process is that with our research is that a lot of the solar label companies have got it wrong. So all the installers are relying on them to provide the right labels, and they've obviously not gone through the standards, or maybe they're interpreting it wrong because of they don't have an electrical background. So we've had people email us and get some clarity around labels and what they might need. And yeah, it's all in the course anyway. It explains the ones you always need, the ones you might need in certain situations, and you know the requirements around each label. So
and also the ones you don't need, the ones that are not required anymore. That's a huge one. That was actually Joe's idea to put that in, because there's so many that we see that are not required, that are in old standards, and they're not required anymore, and it reduces the clutter, and it can make your install
they're
look really nice.
expensive, right? And at the end of the day, they make you
it takes time.
$50,000 50 kilowatt hour battery look like shit.
Yeah.
And there was a post on Solar Cutters a couple of weeks ago, and someone said, is there a labelling guide? I remember when the CEC used to have online guides, and that'd help us. And I think we're about, we've had 3 other iterations worth of labels since the last CEC video came out. And as part of that, they brought up the issue that wholesalers have different types of labels.
Yep.
And if you buy one from Trade Zone, you're going to get a different set of labels to if you get it from PV Connections and if you get it from insert name of wholesaler. So it's also the wholesalers trying to keep up. Now, I can remember when the last changeover happened and the internal conversations around that, because some of the labels are still required and then there were some new ones, and then you're also saying in some cases they're not required as well. So it's great that you guys took the baton there and said that we're going to clarify it for industry. And that's probably a resource not just for installers, but also wholesalers, importers, distributors, label printers.
Karl's,
had a few
for
of the label ones
the
sign up.
listeners, that's why the video is so good. Karl's just going through a pack of labels, and we're just seeing every label one after
Where's the
the
skull
other.
and
These are all the
crossbones, Karl,
labels
come
that
on.
I
It's
didn't
unreal.
put on my battery. These are all
Show
the
us the
labels
skull
that
and
unreal.
crossbones.
didn't put
Pat
on the
and
battery.
Joe, I think there's definitely a business opportunity. I want at least a color rainbow coded single layer of all the warnings.
We actually have a checklist. If you were subscribed to our newsletter, you would have received it.
Burned. Burned.
So yeah, there's already people out there using it. That's just one step. doing the course explains, what labels you need and why. This is just a checklist for out in the field. So,
Nigel, you can get some CPD points at the same time.
I'm an idiot. I don't need CPD.
What are some of the other courses you're currently running?
At the moment, Joe would correct me on this if I'm wrong, but our most popular course that has been purchased by itself would be the inspection of an older system. And that's one we put together. I went through and looked at an older system that they were potentially either looking to upgrade. This is sort of before we released this before the big battery boom, but they were looking to do something else with their solar, upgrade it, fix it up, replace it, whatever it's going to be. And that's been really popular. So we went through a system which was installed in 2013 and hadn't really been maintained. Went through, inspected it, gave some recommendations, and then there's a quiz at the end. And that's been our most popular course, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's really relevant now, with obviously a lot of systems being older. People want to add batteries, is it worth just adding the battery or, I think most of the time it's worth upgrading and getting a few more panels.
So many comments online and questions online around, there's this old system. I'd like to add this to it. Do I need to bring the whole system up to the current AS5033? Do I have to do this and that?
Yep.
So many questions around that. So clarifying that.
Yeah.
So with installers, do they buy an individual course or can they subscribe or what does it look like for them?
That's your one, I reckon.
Yeah, so you can purchase individual courses, and we do have a all access subscription that gets you access to every single one of our courses. With that, also we have an exclusive access to our video library, which is basically all the little snippets of the courses in individual videos, which is searchable. So if you want to look back on something that you want to go over. So that you've learned in a course.
That's so good.
You can just search for that module. If you want to see if there's some information out there on a particular topic that you just want to know about, then you can go and have a look at that. So the subscription is really only a couple of courses worth of the same cost as a couple of courses. So we've made it really valuable in that sense. So if someone, invests in us, then they basically get access to all of this knowledge and they can pick and choose what they're going to learn and what they actually do CPD on. So most of our customers have subscribed, which is great. And yeah, it's something that, we're starting to get a lot of good feedback. So
I think it's good to support Southwell Solar Training because you guys have given so much for free to the industry. So you mentioned advocacy in education, both online, in training, in conferences, on the podcast. I mean, you guys are already giving so much. So if there's something there for CPD points and something else, I'd encourage people to jump in there and support those who are giving. It's similar to, we discussed with Nigel that he's been doing this advocacy for years and he's been engaging at all these levels, doing it as a side gig, not getting paid, being part of working groups and lobbying and all the other stuff. And now it's going to be your job, Nige, and I can see the future's looking bright, full of nice steaks and long lunches.
Is that the deal? I didn't know.
I hope so.
Unreal.
I've got a question there for Pat.
Yep.
So, Pat, we know that having backup circuits in a special enclosure separate from the rest of the switchboard is part of the rules.
Yep.
And we know that stuff is heavily policed in Victoria, but there's a lot of new people and they aren't getting it right.
Yep.
In other states, I'm seeing pictures posted online and I'm just shaking my head going, holy shit, there's no way that this possibly comply. Is there scope for you guys to do some advocacy stuff for at least a period of inspections in the other states to try and improve the standards of installations right now so that we don't have 2 years worth of mistakes to go back and fix, and it could be potentially a couple of months worth of mistakes to go back and fix?
Yeah, for sure. Like it is a bit disappointing that other states don't do the inspections. I feel like we do it really well in Victoria. I'm actually a little bit disappointed that the CER have come out and said they're only going to be inspecting at this first stage 1% of batteries in the new in the battery rebate.
That
I feel
seems
like
really
that's-
low.
I feel like that's extremely low, especially considering the non-conformances that we're already seeing in the Solar Homes program, where they had their battery loan scheme. They're finding 50% of those the installers need to go back for. So
50%.
50%. Now, some of them, and that depends.
50.
Yeah, that's right. 50%
Jeez,
they need to
holy
go back for. Now, that might be for a label which is an important label, which
Yeah.
they just need to go back for, right? But it could also be things like barriers to habitable rooms. They haven't been putting the cement sheet in, or they're installing, on the back of a weatherboard bedroom or something like that, or they're installing it too close to an exit, or there's no egress. Whatever it is, there's 50%. So that's in a state where we have 100% inspections. Now, who knows what we're going to see in New South Wales and Queensland, especially. I'm actually really nervous. I'm actually
Let's
really
nail
nervous
those
about what we're going to
Queenslanders.
see. And I'll make a prediction that the CER are going to increase the number of inspections based on what they see in their first round. That's my prediction. It's just a personal opinion, but I think there's still a huge misunderstanding about batteries, whether it's location of batteries, whether it's about how to test for batteries. That's the other one. It's one of our courses as well, how to test for batteries.
And we're going to do one on locations as well.
Locations as well, yeah. So we're still seeing things like parallel earthing, neutral paths in batteries. We're still seeing that. And, I mean, it means the installer hasn't tested properly. We're still seeing no continuity on the neutral, and the RCDs aren't going to work.
Live terminals under the new standard, which is still up for debate.
That one.
But don't worry, Pat, there's only 1,000 a day going in. It's okay.
See, and the other thing is there's all this new technology out there as well, which, obviously they all have different manufacturer instructions.
That's right.
Which, and there's a lot of new installers as well. They've obviously had to, there's a lot of people that have probably been newly accredited to kind of, get these batteries installed. So I couldn't,
I saw a ripper, and I shouldn't mention names, but if I was given one, it'd maybe be
Spill
a
it,
give.
Come on.
Give
Who is
energy.
it? Who was it?
IP20, beauty. The first time the dog walks past it and pisses on it, it's all over. What the fuck? IP20, you got to be kidding. IP20 is not suitable for Australia, in case anyone was wondering. IP55 is bare minimum. IP65 preferred. IP66, great.
Well,
Right.
I think this is just showing, though, but there's a huge education piece that is required in batteries in Australia. And at the moment, it's great that we've got some good accredited service providers who are doing the national units for battery accreditation. That's great. But where we saw the gap is who's looking after them after that. Like, we need to make sure we've got the CPD program in place for a reason. We can't have beer and pizza nights as the way you get your CPD. They're great things to have. I love going to cutters events. They're my favourite nights of the year, and they're great fun. Whatever it's going to be, they're really good. But you can't have that as your only learning and your continuous professional development for what you need to know in the solar and batteries industry. It's just not enough. There's too much to know.
Batteries are complicated.
Batteries are very complicated. So this is why we're doing this. Like, it's definitely required in the industry. So
we've spoken to New Energy Training pretty recently, and they were talking about sort of trying to have some training that's geared towards designers, salespeople, etc., rather than just installers. Is that in your scope as well? Is that something you're looking into?
It's not. That. Yeah, sorry. I really like that idea, and I think that's something that is required in this industry. But you need to be an RTO to do that. So, I applaud them for doing that training and for putting their resources into it, because everyone knows that it's the sales people in this industry are the ones that clearly need training, because the ones who don't
Thanks,
know.
man.
Yeah, Jess. Fucking hell.
Yeah. But even
just under deliver from my shipping container every day, man.
Bit echoey there, Jess.
But even just for the smaller businesses, for them to actually, get some sales training, so they're not competing against the bigger businesses. That's who we want to grow. We want them to be able to sell it confidently and sell a product that they don't have to sell for cheap. They want to be able to, sell the right system to the customer
The
and it's
sustainability kind of thing.
well, a lot of the time it's, sales is a hard business. It really is. And if they're not good at that, they could be the best installer in the world.
Well, I want to see your battery locations video. I don't care if I don't need the CPD points. I still want to see it.
So interesting with the CPD points, as the SAA took over the installer accreditation, there were some changes in terms of how many CPD points are allocated for courses, and also the content. So there's some more soft skills CPD courses out there. So it's about mental health type ones, managing workforce, even it was there was one that was about procuring international labour into your business. Anyway, these soft skill ones. And maybe there might be a move away from the CPD courses that are just basically advertisements for a company and they put minimal technical stuff in there. And so what makes a really good CPD course in terms of content and how it engages people?
Well, I think the ones that are really valuable, they need to be standards based. I feel like they need to be technical as well. And they need to be delivered in a way which is palatable as well, I think.
Of course.
Mixture of video and...
Yeah. Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it, because it can be a pretty dry topic, right? A lot of the stuff, you're going through standards like boring, like this is black and white book or screen or whatever it is. Like it's pretty monotonous. So we try and, make it a bit, a bit sexier. Just like Luana last episode, trying to make racking sexy. We're trying to make standards sexy.
Success across the board. Everyone's doing a great job.
Let me get my massage chair.
No, we're getting in the spa, Nige. Don't you remember?
I've rarely had as much feedback from any comment in the 4 years of doing this podcast as saying that it's hard to make racking sexy. I've had more feedback on that than anything else. So thank you.
Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah, so we think it needs to be standards based. Yeah, like I mentioned, I think it also needs to reflect where the issues are and what people are dealing with and what they're having trouble with, and whether that data comes from inspection regimes from national regulators or state regulators. Or maybe it will come from surveys, who knows? But it needs to be the things that need to be learned about. And because it's a quagmire, to be honest.
But like what you were saying, Jess, some of the courses we're looking at doing aren't going to be technical as well. Like I definitely want to do a marketing one, helping especially some of the smaller businesses make sure that their presence online is seen. I see, I've done a lot of research on solar businesses around Australia, and they definitely could use a little bit of help. Obviously not some of the medium to bigger size ones, but some of them would find that useful. And the other thing we are looking at doing, which is probably a bit of a big announcement for us today, even though the question's been answered on social media, but we're actually looking at doing an apprentice workflow with on our platform, which will be probably a separate subscription, which is something that all the solar installers have actually asked of us. They say, this is, your content's great. Is there something basically for my apprentice? And they've been showing their apprentices the videos. So
what does that look like in terms of content then?
Well, it's going to be like a lot of the content we've already got on there. Obviously, they need to know about visual defects. They need to know about labeling. But we're going to go right from the start, what solar is all about. So if someone does employ an apprentice and they've got no idea about solar, you can get them on our platform and, they can do all of that and learn all about it rather than, taking out valuable time of the businesses to do so. So we're hoping that will help onboard apprentices.
So it's almost like an induction for apprentices for the basic technical side of it and things that they should know from the outset. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, all of the businesses around Australia are doing it. So if they could obviously have something online to cut out all the time it takes to do it, like obviously they're still going to have to go out and, learn on the job. But having that background and doing the course online, I think will be a great start.
We keep talking about how much labour we're going to need to hit the carbon reduction targets and for the energy transition. So that's awesome.
I've got a grassroots one for you, and that is project developers, land developers, builders. I heard of a subdivision the other day. The customer says, I've only got a 40 amp single phase supply. And you're like, oh my God, this is really hard to manage. Electric cars, all electric house. We've taken away the gas in Victoria, and we haven't added an additional energy supply in terms of electricity. So whilst 3/4 of their energy before was gas, and that came to their house through a pipe, we think that the 1/4 left can make up all of that. And it's just, I reckon it's going to turn into an absolute disaster. And of course, these guys have got no resources, no idea. And it's happening.
All right, so we don't have time for heaps more. We've probably gone over what we normally would, but I don't mind for this episode. So I wanted to throw a bit of a different question to you. There's some really good people out there who have a lot to offer in terms of content. What advice would you give to those who they know in their head they're creative types, they want to do it? What advice would you give to them about utilizing their skills and being able to build their profile somewhat so that people will pay attention?
Is that to me or Joe?
That's to both of you. I could have given a tough question about the CEC pack because you used to work for them too, but after last week, no.
What advice
Sorry,
would
Joe,
I
please
give?
go.
Well, the thing is, I suppose with our dynamic, we're pretty lucky because Pat is so technical and I'm so creative. So I guess having the right people involved is huge. And the only other people that are really involved in this production we've got is our web designer who we pay for. And we've had another marketing person involved just to give us a bit of direction in that area. And then basically all the money that we've made so far has gone straight back into investing in the website and the advertising to get ourselves out there at the moment. So I guess I would say it's hard to actually get out there and be discovered. But the reward is once you do and you get that good feedback, it's really worth it. And we're not doing it for the money. We're doing it to help the industry, and hopefully one day we'll be able to make a little bit of money off it. Obviously, Pat's not going to be able to jump on roofs forever, and his knowledge base, like he definitely doesn't want to. He said he doesn't want to go to the grave with all this knowledge in his head as well. So that's what we're creating, and it's a slow burn, but yeah, we can see that it's going to be worth it. It's exciting.
I've got a little comment on that too. I would suggest to people, if you're thinking of doing it, be prepared to step out of your comfort zone and be prepared to diversify. So a good example of this is Joe coming on here. I won't say I had to get her kicking and screaming. That wasn't the case, but she thought it was something she doesn't normally do, come out in the public eye. So I think that's really good. I also would have thought that, like me being in front of a camera 15 years ago, it was just horrible and I hated it and I used to freeze up and I could never talk. I actually had an experience with Nigel doing some recordings at the CEC about, I don't know, 8 years ago, and I was watching Nigel like a pro doing these doing the show, and then I went and I basically froze up and it was really embarrassing actually.
Had a panic attack.
Yeah, I did.
We've been there.
Yeah.
We've been there. I've been there.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I kept working on that, and I've really tried to work on speaking, public speaking,
Karaoke.
Karaoke, speaking on stages, doing my podcast, all that sort of stuff. So that was out of the comfort zone for me, and now I really, really enjoy it. So trying to bring the best of both worlds all together, and so I would just say getting out of your comfort zone, and like Joe said, getting the right people around you, because that's where some impressive things can happen when you get the right team.
We've got some amazing power couples in the solar industry. You guys are definitely on that list.
Ooh,
thank
power
you.
couple.
Thank you. And actually, that's what I was about to say on that note. I just want to say thank you to all the people that have reached out to us, like people that we don't even know, and to say thank you. Some of them have, tagged along with a technical question on the end, but, some of them have honestly just sent us a message to say that thank you finally. There's actually technical training online that is worth doing and worth, getting a CPD for. And they've given us reviews without us even asking. And that is what keeps us going. And that's the reason I'm here today, to hopefully reach a few more people that really need this training. So,
And on that note, there's an exciting announcement. You've come on our podcast, a competing podcast, Pat. And for those who want to check out Southwell Solar Training and would like to subscribe, you can get 20% off courses and subscriptions till the end of the month if you use the promo code JASP20, JASP20. So jump online, first of all, Southwell Solar Training. Just have a look at the website. We've had a bit of a brief here today about the sort of courses they're offering and the content and direction. So if something is good and you like it, these are great people and a great business to support, and you will get the benefits. So JASP20, JASP20, 20% off. Very generous.
yeah, well, check us out. Use it. Yeah, take advantage of it to have a look anyway, even if you just do one course.
That's it. Get on board. Yeah, it's a lot of hard work's gone into it, and yeah, we're trying to make it better too. So definitely keen for feedback. If anyone wants to, if you want to do a course or subscribe, send us an abusive email, whatever you want to do. We're happy. We're happy for anything.
Yeah, we're ready for it.
We're ready. We're ready to go.
Okay.
We know it's
Weekend
not perfect,
project.
but
Glutton for punishment over here.
Yeah, that's it. The gloves are off. As long as you're prepared to cop it back, you're fine.
Yeah, it's like the dog that you've got at your place. It's always happy to give some love.
Oh, yeah, how's Milo?
Milo, yeah, he's good.
And you got a dog, Jess.
I do. They
you get
should
a-
meet if we can get them across the border, I guess.
There we go. We've deteriorated into dog
Dogs
chat.
of Solar.
Come on, mate. We let you go on about your circuit breakers. We get our 30 seconds of dog talk.
Hey, your dog's made a cameo, didn't it, at the start? That was your dog, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, mate. What's going on?
All right. So we are going to wrap up shortly, but it's been great to have you guys on. And I'm sure people just on that, they can also give suggestions of course content or
Absolutely.
feedback.
Yep.
But
Yep.
we also had on our Facebook page in the last fortnight, the online trolls came on again, the
the troll.
anti-renewables.
I've seen that.
I love it.
I've been.
Yeah, I love
Joe and
it.
I had a conversation about this last
Yeah.
night.
I love it.
Thanks for
Nasty.
boosting my post. You know?
Yeah.
Now it just gets shown to more people. Thank you. Yeah.
That's where you know that you actually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
hit the pinnacle where people start throwing rocks at you.
Yeah,
All right. So
absolutely.
we're going to go
I'll-
around.
I'll go first then. All right. You want to go around? I'll go first. All right. You can get rid of
Wait.
me. Or you
No, I
want
was going to. No, I was going to say we're going to go around for last comment.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not running this podcast.
No, you're not. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'll take a
Sit
step back.
down, Pat.
Okay. And we're going to start with you, Karl.
Okay, big week for me. 250,000 Ks on the Model S, have barely touched it. Got a couple of new door handles. Model 3, this weekend, it's its birthday, 3 years old. Haven't put a tool on it for anything. So it's celebration time for cheap motoring, and EVs help people use their massive solar systems and their batteries. So important to tell your customers to go out and buy an EV.
Very good. And Jess.
Yes, well, to stir the pot just a little tiny bit, I couldn't help but notice on the back end of, most of your manufacturers, you have your sort of your service portal, your admin access, your whatever. And I got to say that Tesla's update is suspiciously SIG-like. I got to say there's some remarkable similarity. As soon as I saw
Wowee.
it, the first thing I did was open the SIG portal to go side by side. And I've got to say, this is not a criticism. I think it's good for people to be grabbing good stuff from each other. But yes, it's suspiciously similar is what I will say. But otherwise, yeah, just want everyone to keep their chins up and keep taking care of each other and keep on steaming through the mountains of inquiries.
Come on. And industry legend Nigel Morris.
I'm just going to say don't call me in the next week because I'm moving house and starting a new job. There's plenty to do. I look forward to speaking to everyone in September when I will be on fire, having a good time.
So there you go.
Bring a
Leave
fire
Nigel alone.
extinguisher.
Leave Nigel alone till the 1st of September is the message I got.
Oh, and sorry, I got to sneak in massive shout out as well to Lauren Seconti. I think she's amazing. She does an amazing job on the podcast. So I got to put my little 2 cents in there. I love the girlies sticking together as well. I just think it's amazing. So, thanks.
And Pat and Joe, thanks for coming on. Great to chat as always and to catch up. I suppose you both get to give last comments.
Do you want to go first?
Oh, I don't know. What's this? I haven't
Last-
been briefed about it yet. So
All right, I'll jump in. Just wanted to say thanks to every one of you. I love every one of you so much. I think I professed my love just for Nigel last time, but I'll say it for all four of you, even you, Karl. No, you're doing such a great
generous.
job. Yeah, no, honestly, like it's been, I think I spoke about this, Luke, with the episode where you came on, Solar Sidekicks. It was you guys like the inspiration to do this, and I enjoyed the episode I did a couple of years ago so much that I thought I really want to do this, and it's been so much fun. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to all of you. I listen religiously every week. I've listened to every single episode multiple times, and I appreciate what you're doing. So thank you. Service to the industry. Love yous all.
Thanks,
The
Pat.
Just Another Solar Past Self-Appreciation Society begins.
Well, on that note, now I feel like the pressure's on. I obviously haven't worked really with a lot of people in the industry. I've met them, at events, but it's not quite the same. But I must say, everyone that I've met is so passionate about what they do, and for good reason. It's a really hard industry to work in. Obviously, there's just so many changes all the time. It is such a challenge. So anyone who sticks around, hats off to them. And I want to leave by saying I'm surprised, Luke, that you haven't mentioned my ad. And I want to make an apology that, that there's so many people that listen to our podcast that have heard me repeatedly say all those words over and over again. So another little announcement, we do have a new ad coming. So stay tuned.
Thanks so much for coming on. And just to reiterate, you can check out the podcast, Solar Sidekicks, and Southwell Solar Inspections and Southwell Solar Training. You can jump onto the website, check out the CPD courses, and there is a discount, 20%, JASP20 if you'd like to do that. Look forward to catching up with you guys soon. Thanks, team.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Joe. And
Thanks
to
so
you for
much.
listening. And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, team.
Thanks for having us.
Tired of scrambling for CPD points at the last minute? With Southwell Solar Training, you can earn all 100 points for your accreditation without leaving home and without wasting time on boring, irrelevant courses. Our online training is practical, compliance-focused, and designed by industry pros who've actually been on the tools. Learn at your own pace, get your certificate instantly, and stay compliant without the stress. Check out the full course list now at southwellsolartraining.com.au and get your CPD the easy way.